Hi guys, how are you doing? I'm hoping you had a great weekend, and we've got 3 days before our spring break. So what we are going to do in social studies is we're going to finish up um, our Maya, Incan, and Aztec unit. And what you're going to find is you're going to find a video here that's kind of like some odds and ends, things that I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about how the geography of these 4 civilizations affected how they lived. And I also wanted to talk to you a little bit about, I don't have any water. I also wanted to talk to you a little bit about the different irrigation systems, the different farming methods that these folks did. We've already hit on a few of them, but I wanted to show you some pictures of what they would look like, so you have kind of like an image in your head. And then after you watch the video, I know a lot of you have submitted your charts, your Aztec, Inca, Maya charts, and Mississippian charts. I am going to put a little mini quiz about the unit on a Google form, so it's going to be attached to this video. If you want to use your charts or any of the videos for information to answer, that's totally fine. You don't have to. I think the quiz is very easy to do without having to go back in your information. But if you do want to use your information and you've already submitted the chart, you can unsubmit the chart and then submit it back. I don't know if there's a way that you can look at it after you submit it, but if you unsubmit it, it will let you look at it, and then you can go back in the information. Although I don't think, because I'm looking at the little quiz, we've got to adapt this as the best we can. It doesn't look crazy hard. I mean, legit, it's like 5 questions, guys, for real. So if you've just been following along with the videos, then the little quiz that I have for you guys about this unit shouldn't be a problem. It's 4 questions. No lie. I think you guys could probably handle the 4 questions for the quiz. I mean, seriously, I'm going to put it on Google Forms. So I think you guys would be good to go. All right. Give me 1 second. I'm going to go get some water. All right. I'm back. Sorry. I had to get some water before I started talking crazy stuff. Okay. So I want to talk to you a little bit about, I don't ever know where to look. I think I'm supposed to look right there. Is that where I'm supposed to look? Okay. Whatever. I want to talk to you a little bit about how the geography affected these civilizations, and then I want to talk to you a little bit about the farming methods of the 4 civilizations we've talked about. This shouldn't be a very long video whatsoever, but I want to kind of like give you some insight into that, and you can just listen to me for just a minute because I don't have any pictures quite yet to share with you. So when it came to geography, when it came to the rivers, the climate, the rivers, the climates, mountains, all the other landforms, they affected where these civilizations, how they were successful. So they also affected where the history occurred. So early civilizations formed near the rivers and the lakes to have a supply of fresh water for themselves and their crops and their animals. They also used it as a means of transportation. So they used it for food, and they also used it for protection against invasion. So a lot of early civilizations, they did create their civilizations on the riverbanks. These civilizations did not have animals like horses, and the wheel had not been invented yet. So they had to find a way to get from place to place. So again, that's kind of where the llamas came into play. That's kind of where transportation with those little wooden, I forgot what their names are, because they didn't have wheels. They didn't have, those weren't created at the time. So they couldn't make, wheelbarrows and things like that. That would just be silly. Another geography spot was an island. So you think of like the Aztecs with Tenochtitlan. That was the capital of their empire. They settled on a swampy island in the middle of a lake, Texcoco. because no one else wanted the land. And then they discovered that building in the middle of the lake was going to be a really good defense from the attacks. And so from attacks from enemies. So they got fresh water from the mountains. They traveled on foot by canoe. So they learned to live off the land in an island form. The Inca, however, they created their civilizations in the mountains. So the mountains were often used to guard against foreign invaders. So they'd also block people from settling in certain areas. So the Inca of South America, they lived high in the Andes Mountains to stop an invasion. Who wants to climb the Andes Mountains? Not I. And again, other things that they could do to stop invasions were to burn the bridges that the invaders would use to reach them. On one side of the Andes Mountains, the Amazon rainforest served as a barrier. It also provided food and fresh water. The other side was a desert coastline. So the Inca had an elaborate road system and traveling on foot through the mountains. They didn't really live too much in the rainforest, though. They really didn't have it. That really wasn't their habitat. I mean, they might have had a few sprinkled here and there, but they didn't really steer too close to the rainforest. They used a lot of its resources, though. The Maya, they built cities in the rainforest. They were different of Central America. And so each city was built in an area near trade routes, and they had good farmland. They had thick rainforests, which also served for protection for their cities. The Mayan civilization, it covered a large area, and so they were able to trade with other parts of their civilizations, and they used canoes to transport goods. The Mississippians, however, they built their towns near rivers. So their villages were surrounded by wooden fences for protection. I showed that video to you at one point. They had good farmland, and so they had plenty of water to grow crops because they were close to a river, and they traveled by canoe as well. So you can see how different these civilizations were based on where they were located. Incas, mountains; Mayans, rainforest; Aztecs, island, and they all used that to help them succeed. They used the resources that they had. So geography really did affect their lives. The other thing I want to talk about real quick, and I do have some pictures to show you, is the farming methods of the past, the farming methods of the early civilizations, which we're talking about these four main ones right now, because those are the ones that would be in the Western Hemisphere. So one of the farming methods that they used was the slash and burn method. Okay, and so I have a picture. I'm going to pull it up, and I'm going to move myself out of the way. So this is an example of slash and burn. I just Googled it, and the pictures came up. So these are probably more modern than anything, but it gives you an idea. So in this method, farmers cut down plants, and they set the land on fire to make it flat. And so they use the ashes from the fires, from the plants and the trees, to provide nutrients to the soil. So when the land isn't good for growing crops anymore, the farmer moves to a new plot and does it again. So this will be called the slash and burn method. A hilly area would be the type of area that would use this method. The effect on the environment would be that it makes the land flat. So, I mean, that would be maybe an advantage to the slash and burn method. And you can see some of the examples there. Just gives you an idea, an image of it. The other one we've talked about, a lot of the early civilizations used these, and these are super pretty. These are the terrace farming, not terrorist. Terrace, T-E-R-R-A-C-E, terrace farming. In this method, steps are built into the side of a mountain. That would explain why the Incas used it so much. Or hill, using rocks and trees. And this way, instead of water flowing down the hill and taking soil with it, each plant gets the water they need, kind of like steps. And so obviously the type of area that would use this method would be mountains. It does keep the land from eroding. So because it's got these little stepping stone type of ladder system here, it keeps the land from eroding, and then they don't have to worry about that after a while. And those are some really cool ones. We still have, these are probably some modern ones of the time. They still are around. They're really pretty though. Another one were the chinampas, and those were from the Aztecs, obviously. These are some of the photographs of chinampas. And again, this was the Aztecs. They lived on an island. So the Aztec farmers, they used these chinampas or floating gardens to grow their crops. And so to build them, they built a fence and they filled it with mud and plants, and they finished, and then the finished garden would be a few feet above the lake. And so they would harvest all of their crops on top of that little island called a chinampa. And so this was a type of area that would use this method would be a swampy area, or, you know, a lot of water like an island. And there really wasn't any effects on the environment with this. They were a very cool invention, the chinampas. The next one were something else that they used in the past were dikes and dams. And so I'm kind of in the way, but you get the idea. These are some modern looking ones, but farmers used dikes to protect their land from flooding. So the dikes were built to stop water from overflowing from the river and the lakes. And they used dams to store the water from rivers and lakes so that they could slowly drain the water for their crops, like we do today. So they would use this type of method in an area that flooded a lot. So if you had a lot of rainfall, rainforest maybe, Mayans, then you would use this method. It does kind of mess up the ecosystem with all the flooding. So again, it does kind of ruin the ecosystems when you do, when they did build these dikes and dams, because again, you're taking away from the ecosystem by building them. And then the last one that was a farming method back in the day was irrigation canals. And these are some examples of some irrigation canals. I would think probably more like this is what they probably would have had. I doubt they would have had anything that had cement or anything like that. But in this method, the farmers, they dug trenches next to their rows of crops. So you can see, like, you know, there's trenches next to the rows of crops, and that would collect water. And so they would carry the water in buckets from nearby streams and rivers, and they would fill the trenches. And so this would be used for an area that was dry. So you think about maybe on the west coast of the Incas, where they have that desert coastline, that probably would have been a place where they were going to use this irrigation canal because it was a dry area. Probably wouldn't use this too much in the rainforest with the Mayans because they are in the rainforest, and the rainforest isn't necessarily dry. So kind of interesting, the different types of farming methods of the past. And that's all I really wanted to share with you about the different farming methods, because I wanted to make sure that you guys understood those different ones for the Mayans, Incas, Aztecs, and Mississippians. So here's what I want you to do. I'm going to blow this up so you listen to me. Oh no, I don't want to click on that name. No. I did it anyway, didn't I? Okay, listen. All right, so here's what I want you to do. You're watching this video right now, okay? There is a Google form, 4 questions. That is basically going to be your assessment for this section, for this unit. There's not much else we can do at this point when it comes to this unit. A lot of the things that I wanted to do are things that we would do classroom-based, where we were looking at each other, interacting with each other. If you have any questions, you're more than welcome to comment below the post if you have any comments. But that's it for social studies this week. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, all I want you to do is watch this video, finish your charts. If you haven't finished those, I want those finished by Wednesday. So please make sure you finish those charts and get those submitted, and then take the quiz by Wednesday, okay? Wednesday is the last day before we have spring break. And spring break, I'm not getting on the computer. I don't want you guys to get on the computer. I want everybody to take a break, okay? So there will not be any work coming from me on spring break time. So Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, you're getting nothing from me, okay? I'm hiding. I'm going to hide under a rock or in my house. It's pretty much the same thing right now. And you're not going to get anything from me, okay? So you're going to I want you to actually enjoy your spring break as much as you can. Get out, enjoy some of the sunshine, I hope that we have. And don't worry about any work, okay? I will start posting work again that following Tuesday, Okay, I hope that makes sense. I'm going to say the same thing with the video I'm going to do in ELA. So if you're in my ELA and you're seeing this now, you're going to hear the same thing. Okay. All right. So enjoy your week coming up. I will probably talk to you a little bit here on Wednesday. But again, for social studies, you're watching this video, finishing your charts, and taking the 4-question quiz on Google Forms. That's it. Thanks, guys. I'll talk to you later.